All right, guys, we are live from day 3 of 49ers training camp. Pretty interesting practice. No Brock Purdy, potential injury scare with Renardo Green. And we had our first training camp scuffle between Jennings and Lenoir. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more. We also have an update kind of on the 49ers kicking competition. I also have a funny story about a George Kittle autograph. We'll get into all that stuff for day 3 recap of 49ers training camp. You guys already know what to do. Drop your SDS for the Sourdough Squad in the comments below. Smash that like button, and let's talk about everything that we took away from day 3 right now.
Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it.
All right, so we are talking 49ers training camp. I would probably say the biggest development of today was the fact that there was no Brock Purdy practicing. I actually got to shout out this guy right over here wearing the Brock Purdy jersey. He was actually the first to spot no Brock Purdy practicing today. So shout out to him. Shout out the boy. Already breaking some news out here. We immediately got that on the timeline. And then shortly after, we had found out from, I believe it was Matt Barrows, who had mentioned that Brock Purdy was not practicing today due to personal reasons, nothing to be alarmed about. So no Brock on the day. And honestly, practice kind of felt like there was no Brock there. Definitely a stark contrast in tempo and intensity opposed to what we saw yesterday. So definitely lighter, definitely not as action-packed as it was yesterday, but we still got some good stuff to talk about. Like I mentioned too, we had our first little training camp scuffle between Lenoir and Jennings. Not surprised at all that it occurred on a run play where you have Jennings blocking Diamador, and it was just one of those situations, right, where they're engaged, they're locked up, and it's up to one of them to like let go or to stop. We know he blocks after the whistle. We know Lenoir, he's not going to back down, and so those guys just kind of started going in circles, and I'm like, I have binoculars on them, and I'm right on them guys, and I'm like, who's going to disengage first? And we had a little bit of a hand swipe there by Diamador. No contact, nothing like that. If I had to rank it on the training camp practice fight scale, it is probably like a 2, a 2 out of 10. Nothing too crazy, nothing too intense, and obviously we know the personalities of Jennings and Lenoir, so I don't think really any of us should be surprised that it's getting a little chippy in some run blocking there. So, but you know, it gets the blood pumping a little bit when you see the guys getting into it a little bit. We also had a situation with Renardo Green. I guess he had limped off the field. That was actually after a really good play by Renardo Green. You had Mac Jones. It was one of the deeper pass attempts of the day down the left sideline. Mac threw it up for Jennings, and Renardo Green made a nice PBU. Unfortunately came down a little weird and kind of hobbled off the field. We don't really know the status of Renardo Green in regards to if it was just, you know, these guys get banged up. It's practice. It's football. Things are happening. It could be precautionary. I don't know. The fact that he was able to take himself off the field and he wasn't like helped off or anything like that is a good sign. So we'll see what happens. It's a lower body injury, so we'll see what happens there. So typically, I would kind of go through and mention some players who stood out today, but just because of the light nature of today's practice, I'm just going to kind of hop around. I haven't given a kicking update yet today, and today was probably one of the more extensive looks that we had at the 49ers kicking battle, because while I had mentioned it earlier that tempo today just wasn't comparable to yesterday. Again, I think because the fact that the 49ers only had two quarterbacks today, Mac Jones and Tanner Mordecai, I would have to assume that they just weren't going balls to the wall. So, and it is interesting because the 49ers have typically carried four quarterbacks heading into training camp. They only have three, and now with Brock out, you clearly see that they probably need to sign a fourth quarterback. So we'll see. We'll see how the 49ers manage that. We'll see if Purdy's back on Sunday. I don't know. We'll find out. We'll probably figure out the reason why he wasn't at practice here probably in the next day or two. Again, wasn't considered to be an alarming situation. Obviously, there's a couple people speculating, maybe it's about the birth of his child. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what the reasons are, but nothing concrete yet. But while team period was going on, they were on the other field, and they're putting up a lot of kicks through the field goal, that being Joseph and Moody. Obviously, we know that they're it's probably one of the bigger camp battles that are going on right now, because it's a camp battle that everyone knows about. You even had Nick Bosa the other day talk about that he's even kind of excited to see how the kicker battle plays out. Like, everyone knows that it's Moody versus Joseph right now. And we know that, Moody's future with the San Francisco 49ers is on the line. So it's been interesting. You obviously have a new long snapper, you have a new punter, and you have a new special teams coach, and you have a new kicker in the building. So what we saw today was there's probably like a 20-minute period where it was just Moody and Joseph kicking back and forth, just kick after kick after kick. And honestly, I can't remember a training camp where I've seen the kickers practicing that much. Now, maybe that's because of the new field orientation and it's more out in the open. Typically, the kickers would hang out behind the VIP section, which no longer exists. But in years past, they really don't do all that much in practice. They're more just kind of hanging out, There's a special teams period. When the special teams period is up, they go out, they do their thing, and then they kind of go off to the side and do their own thing. But today they were kicking for a good portion of practice. It was definitely the most I've seen them kick this year. And so, like I said, for about 20 minutes, they were just Joseph and Moody going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then they had their special teams period in front of the whole team. And this is how it went. So as you guys know, they start shorter, around 20, 25 yards, and then they progressively move back about 10 yards as it goes. And with how the kicker competition is going, it goes Joseph kicking first, which I find interesting because to me, in kind of the standard realm of how pecking orders work, the first guy up is typically the starter or the guy who has been there or been with the team. So it was Joseph getting first crack. Joseph made his first 2 kicks, and then he missed his 2 kicks after that. One he pushed to the right, the other one he hit the crossbar. So 2 for 4, not ideal for Joseph. And then for Moody, he made his first 3 kicks, and then he missed his final kick. Obviously, you want to see your kickers nailing all their kicks. So the fact that, they combined, missed 3 kicks out of 8, not the best, but we'll see how it plays out. So I would say that Moody had the upper leg on Joseph for that particular session, as he made 1 more kick than Joseph did. So we'll see how that goes from that situation. I guess now would be a good time to tell the story. Do you want to tell it, or you want me to tell it?
I'll tell it.
All right, so we're gonna bring in the boy, and he's gonna tell the story. Let me see the hat. So the setup is he got the George Kittle autograph. So play out. What happened as you were getting your George Kittle autograph today?
So I was there. I was waiting. I said, "Hey, Kittle, do you know Brad at the SF Niners?" And he said, "Yeah, I know Brad." I said, "Well, he's my dad." And he said, "No, really? You're way more handsomer than he is."
George, come on, George. I love it. So funny. Typical George response. You're way more. What are you saying, George? Huh? What are you saying about this mug? This mug, is appreciated by some. Not many, but by some. Some find this mug to be decent. But no, I thought that was funny. That was typical George fashion. And of course, big shout out to George. George, a big thing for training camp is, especially for the kids, is getting autographs. Some kids don't even care about the practice. They just want to get autographs from their favorite players. George is always the best when it comes to making time for everyone and getting autographs to kids and, taking shots at content creators. Come on, George. No, it's hilarious. Shout out to George. Made my son's day. I know he made a bunch of kids' day out there. But I thought that was funny. Thought it was worth sharing. I thought it was hilarious. Let's get into some of the team period stuff. Again, today was a light day. Not a bunch going on. But first play of team period would have been a sack on Mac Jones. They blitzed Jason Pinnock off the edge, untouched, ran right past Mac. He would have put his helmet right in Mac Jones' chin if it was live bullets. So Pinnock started off with a sack, and then Tatum Bethune. Tatum, I honestly haven't noticed him on the field the first 2 days of training camp. He was flying around. He had a nice stop, I think, on a CMC run, I believe. And then it was CMC run. And then Tatum Bethune also had another solid stop against against James. So Jordan James. So Tatum Bethune flashed today. So shout out to Tatum Bethune. I really hadn't noticed him at all first 2 days, and today he flashed. So a couple of the linebackers actually flashed today. There was a what looked to be like a Jordan Watkins drop on a PBU. I didn't get a good look at who the pass breakup was, who broke up the pass, but it was a pass intended for rookie Jordan Watkins. I also think EQ, Equanimous St. Brown, came away with a nice catch with Trey Brown in coverage. Mac Jones was connecting with Jennings. Jalen Graham. So Jalen Graham had a near interception, so it was like a drop. Like he dropped it wasn't like an easy one, but Jalen Graham had a chance to get an INT, and Jalen Graham actually came back with a pick six later in team period on Tanner Mordecai. So, the linebackers are looking good. I'm not going to lie. Obviously, I say it a million times. We're still waiting for pads. But all things considered, the linebackers are flying around, making some plays. And, at every level. Stone Blanton had an INT yesterday. Jalen Graham has an INT today, almost 2 interceptions. So not bad on the linebackers, because we all know Fred Warner's locked in. And we're really trying to figure out what the pecking order looks like. D Winters would have had a nice run stop as well. So the linebackers are doing well. Yesterday, Nick Martin had a really nice stop in the hole as well. So I'm really excited to see how this linebacker battle is going to continue to go, especially once pads come on. So, but so far, early returns, not bad for the linebackers. You had a Jair Brown interception today. Mordecai, no, I think it was Mac Jones. Pretty sure it was Mac Jones. The pocket was kind of collapsing around Mac. It was real muddy. It might have been a sack, but Mac Jones let it rip, and Jair Brown came away with the interception. While we're talking about pressures, Nick Bosa is he's kind of in the backfield quite a bit. Obviously, no pads, but there's just a lot of plays where, Nick tagged Mac today, literally just tapped him on the back as he ran by. I would say Bosa had minimum 2 sacks today, maybe more. Definitely had some pressures. Bryce Huff, good to see Huff getting involved. Looked like Huff would have had a sack today. Again, it's really hard for the offensive line because of not having pads. So, but we know Bosa is going to make a habit, I think, of being in the backfield quite a bit. So I'm pretty interested about this defensive line. I really am. I know there's a lot of new faces, but I'm pretty interested to see how these guys start showing out when the pads come on. So those guys have been making plays. The funnest play of camp today was a double end around. So you had Junior Bergen, the 7th round draft pick out of Montana, I believe. He got the ball on a double end around, and he got into some free space, and he was moving pretty well. But the best part about that play was you had Mac Jones like 20 yards downfield as your lead blocker. And I always get a kick when I see Mac Jones running because he is just so awkward as an athlete. He's capable. Like, he's not like he can't move, but he's just like an awkward kind of of an athlete, and it's just I always get a kick about watching him run around. But he was 20 yards downfield looking for contact. So I thought that was pretty good today. Good on Mac for getting involved. Mac got a lot of reps today, obviously, with only 2 quarterbacks being up. But definitely not as good of a day as yesterday. Definitely cooled off from my perspective. Definitely didn't have as strong of a day as he did yesterday. More of an average day by Mac. Braden Willis made a couple catches today, so I'm really interested. Obviously, I really haven't seen Luke Farrell involved all that much. But to be fair, I don't know if Luke Farrell's running too many routes out there. It's a lot of George Kittle. George Kittle's still that guy. George Kittle's still going to have a phenomenal year. He still looks like the same guy. Still looks like the best tight end in the league. So we'll see. But Braden Willis had a nice catch against the sideline today. Had to kind of go up for it, get his feet in bounds. Not bad. So more Braden Willis involvement than I've seen in the past 2 days. Watkins had a decent play as well. Again, Jordan Watkins, the 4th-round rookie out of Ole Miss, he's seemingly going to be involved, at least with how the depth chart is currently panning out with no Ayuk and no Pearsall. Watkins is being involved pretty often. Tonjes had a pretty solid catch over the middle today. Let's see what other notes we got here. Jacob Robinson, UDFA safety, had a nice PBU to end practice. Tariq Owens had a catch today in the flat. So first time seeing Tariq Owens out there. And the Jordan James hive is buzzing. I'm starting to see some other beat reporters start to mention Jordan James a little bit. I saw Vic Tafer of The Athletic mention today that he's been pretty impressed with Jordan James as well. I've been impressed with Jordan James from the jump, right out the gate. And one of the things with him is I think that's a guy who's going to get better once the pads come on. So I'm pretty excited about him. Garendo, I'm not going to lie, I didn't really think the running backs had a ton of running room today. Felt like today was more of a defensive, better performance by the defense, at least in regards to the run game. Christian McCaffrey did have this one really sick play where I literally lost him behind the line of scrimmage, like he was lost in the wash between the O-line and D-line, and there was this little crease, and then all of a sudden, like in a blink of an eye, he levitated through it. I was like, oh, that was like a really cool perspective to like not see where he was behind the line of scrimmage, and then all of a sudden him just burst through this little crease. Like the only crease I could see, he found it, and he just kind of burst right through it. And I was like, that was a cool perspective. Like, where is this guy? And then all of a sudden he's burst through the line of scrimmage. But I'm pretty impressed with the running backs. Garendo looks like he's going to be solid. I think Jordan James offers something that is more similar to CMC. I thought this is a phenomenal comp. Someone said this the other day under one of my tweets about Jordan James. Devonta Freeman is a phenomenal comp. Absolutely phenomenal comp. I honestly forgot about Devonta Freeman, but I was a big fan of Devonta Freeman's game when he was with the Falcons. Perfect comp, like literally perfect comp. Very twitched up, good balance. You can see this guy has good contact balance. He's so shifty. He's constantly twitching. Where Garendo to me is more of like a one-cut runner. Garendo's looking for the seam. He's going to make a one-cut and go, kind of like a Mostert, right? Like their speed. I think Jordan James is definitely more shiftier, if that makes sense. He's definitely more agile. Not to say that Garendo isn't, but like I said, their running styles are different. Garendo to me is more of a one-cut runner, whereas Jordan James is making like 15 cuts in like one run. It's kind of crazy how much he's constantly moving and shifting and dipping and so I'm excited about that one. I'm excited to see what he looks like because what I saw on tape from Oregon, I'm seeing so far. So obviously we get it. No pads. I don't have to keep saying it, but there's different levels of context of evaluation, and within the evaluation realm of no pads, he's checked those boxes. So now we got to check the boxes of when pads come on. He's shown can be utilized as a receiver out of the backfield. He can run. He has speed to the outside to win on the edge, and he can run in the middle in between the tackles. So to me, he looks like a 3-down back. So we'll see how that goes. Pads come on Monday, so tomorrow we get tomorrow off, and then we have Sunday practice, and then pads come on Monday. So we'll see. We shall see. But overall, like I said, low-key practice. Definitely not the same energy as yesterday. Yesterday was just fun. Yesterday felt like football. Like that was a fun practice yesterday. I really enjoyed yesterday's practice, as you can tell. But today, still some good work, and we'll see. We'll see what's going down in the future. And again, when pads come on, we'll really have a better sense of O-line, D-line play, physicality from the wide receivers, physicality from the running backs, all those different types of things. So was Morty throwing darts? Mordecai he's looked like a third-string quarterback. He still looks like a practice squad guy. He's not terrible. Like he can definitely complete passes. But he's had back-to-back interceptions in 2 days. Both to linebackers over the middle. Yesterday was Yesterday was an interception to Stone Blanton. Today was an interception by Jalen Graham. Jalen almost had 2 on Mordecai today. So, Mordecai is a practice squad guy. That's what he looks like to me. Juice got the ball today. I think maybe that actually was the D Ford. They kicked it to Juice in the flat, and I think D Ford was right there. Would have made the play on that. So, yeah, good developments. I think there's good developments for sure, but we'll see how everything goes and all that good stuff. So, appreciate everyone for tapping in. I keep saying D Ford. Oh my gosh, this is going to be my Charmander West situation with Travarius Ward. D Winters, thank you for the reminder. I'm gonna keep messing it up. I promise you that. So that's the update for today. Good work out there. Appreciate everyone for tapping in. Tomorrow off. We'll be back on Sunday. And just make sure you hit that like button. And I would appreciate it. Grab your cookies on the way out. I'll see you guys on Sunday. Peace.
Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it.